The small human vessel drifted through the darkness of space like a leaf, caught in a slow current. Its hull was old, marked with scratches and dents from decades of service. Inside the cramped cockpit, Admiral Marcus Webb sat alone, his weathered hands resting on the controls. His grey hair was cut short in military fashion, and deep lines creased his face. He was 73 years old, and he knew exactly what was about to happen. The sensors beeped. 3 massive ships appeared on the screen, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They were Galactic Council vessels, each one 10 times larger than his small craft. Their hulls gleamed with advanced armor that could withstand weapons humans had not yet invented. Their engines burned with a blue light that seemed to mock the orange glow of his own outdated propulsion system. Webb did not try to run. He simply sat and waited. The communication panel crackled to life. A harsh clicking voice filled the cabin. "Human vessel, you have violated Council territory. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction." Webb reached forward and shut down his engines. The ship went silent, except for the soft hum of life support. He stood slowly, his joints protesting after hours in the pilot seat, and walked to the small cargo bay. He did not bother to arm himself. That was not why he was here. The boarding was efficient and brutal. The airlock exploded inward with a burst of cutting plasma. 6 Kryn warriors stormed through the smoke, their forearms carrying weapons that hummed with deadly energy. They were tall, reptilian creatures with scales that shifted colors to match their surroundings. Their eyes were cold and calculating. They found Webb standing in the center of the cargo bay, hands raised, completely calm. "I am Admiral Marcus Webb of the Terran Defense Forces," he said clearly. "I am your prisoner." The Kryn leader cocked its head, confused by the lack of resistance. In their experience, primitives either fought or begged. This old human did neither. They bound his hands with energy restraints that glowed blue against his wrists and led him to their flagship. The journey to the council chamber took 2 days. Webb was kept in a small cell with a window that showed the vastness of space. He spent the time in meditation, remembering faces he would never see again. His wife, dead for 5 years. His daughter on the Mars colony. His grandchildren, who called him on video calls and showed him their drawings. He thought about them and felt the cold certainty of what was coming settle deeper into his bones. When they finally brought him to the Grand Assembly, Webb had to pause at the entrance. The chamber was enormous, a sphere carved from a single asteroid and reinforced with transparent metals. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy filled the tiered seats. Some were humanoid. Others were so alien that Webb's mind struggled to process their shapes. There were beings made of gas contained in force fields, creatures that floated on gravitic waves, and massive insectoid forms that clicked and chittered to each other. At the center of the sphere floated the Overseer, the leader of the Galactic Council. It was an insectoid being the size of a small vehicle, with a crystalline exoskeleton that refracted light into rainbow patterns. Its multiple eyes focused on Webb with an intelligence that was ancient and cold. "Bring the human forward," the Overseer commanded. Its voice came through a translation device, but still carried harmonics that made Webb's teeth ache. The Kryn guards pushed Webb toward the center platform. He stumbled slightly, playing up his age, and heard laughter ripple through the assembly. Good, he thought. Let them laugh. "You are Admiral Marcus Webb," the Overseer stated. It was not a question. "I am." "You command the human military forces." "I am one of several fleet admirals, yes." More laughter. A serpentine creature in the upper tiers hissed loudly. "They have several admirals for their pathetic fleet. How many ships do humans possess, Overseer?" 300. 400. The Overseer's eyes never left Webb. "Our intelligence suggests the humans have approximately 470 combat-capable vessels. Most are outdated by our standards. Some still use chemical propulsion for maneuvering." The chamber erupted in jeering sounds that Webb's translator could barely process. A blob-like creature that communicated through color changes flashed what Webb's device interpreted as amusing primitives. "And yet," the Overseer continued, "you violated our borders. Your colony ships have been Detected in systems we claimed. 3,000 years before your species discovered fire. This is unacceptable. Webb said nothing. He simply stood and waited. This was the important part. They needed to talk, to posture, to demonstrate their superiority. Every minute they spent mocking him was a minute humanity used to prepare. A new voice spoke from the left tier. It belonged to a Vrin, a species that resembled upright wolves with 6 legs and crystalline growths along their spines. Perhaps the humans do not understand mathematics. Allow me to educate you, old creature. The Vrin alone possess 10,000 warships. The Zilthari have 8,000. The Kron have 6,000. Together, the Council commands over 50,000 vessels, each more advanced than anything your primitive world has produced. Do you understand these numbers? I understand them, Webb said quietly. Then you understand the futility of resistance, the Overseer said. We are not without mercy. We recognize that humans are a young species, ignorant of galactic law. Therefore, we offer you terms. Evacuate your illegal colonies within 1 planetary rotation. Return to your home system. Remain there for the next century while we determine if your species is capable of civilized behavior. Refuse, and we will remove your colonies by force. Webb looked up at the Overseer. His old eyes met those alien orbs without fear. And if we refuse your terms? The chamber fell silent. Then the laughter began again, louder than before. The idea that humans might refuse seemed to be the funniest thing these ancient species had heard in centuries. A Zilthari representative, a being of pure energy contained in a mechanical body, spoke with a voice like grinding metal. If you refuse, old human, we will demonstrate why the Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. We have weapons that crack planets like eggs. We have ships that can sterilize a world from orbit in hours. We have fought and defeated species far more advanced than yours. You are insects to us, annoying but easily crushed. Webb nodded slowly, as if considering this information. I see. You've given this a lot of thought. We have considered every possibility. The Overseer said. Why do you think we are telling you this? It is not a threat. It is simple reality. Your species cannot win a war against the Council. No species can. This is why there is peace. I understand, Webb said. He took a breath, feeling the weight of what came next. Then I have a question, if I may. The Overseer gestured with a bladed limb. Speak. Why did humanity send an old man like me for such an important negotiation? The question caused a stir in the assembly. Several beings made sounds that Webb's translator marked as confusion or curiosity. We have wondered this ourselves, the Overseer admitted. It seems strange that your species would send someone so diminished. Is this an insult? Or simply incompetence? Webb smiled then, and something in that smile made several of the nearer Council members lean back. I volunteered, he said softly, and my government accepted because I'm one of the few humans old enough to remember the last time my species truly went to war. The real kind of war. The kind where survival is the only goal. You speak of your primitive conflicts. A Kron representative said dismissively. The silicon-based being's voice sounded like rocks grinding together. We have studied your history. You fight amongst yourselves over resources and territory. Children squabbling over toys. Yes, Webb agreed. We do fight amongst ourselves. We've been doing it for our entire history. Thousands of years of continuous warfare. We've developed quite a talent for it. The Overseer's mandibles clicked, in what might have been amusement. And you believe this gives you an advantage against species who have conquered star systems? Webb's smile faded. His expression became something colder, harder. No, Overseer. I believe it means we understand something you've forgotten. But you'll remember soon enough. The chamber erupted in angry sounds. The Overseer raised a limb for silence. You have 1 rotation, Admiral Webb. Evacuate your colonies, or we will do it for you. This audience is concluded. As the guards moved to take him away, Webb turned back. You want war, Overseer? The ancient being regarded him with something that might have been pity. Do not be foolish, human. You cannot want war with us. Webb's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. You want war? We'll give you war. The laughter followed him all the way back to his cell. They kept Webb in a cell with walls made of some kind of energy field that hummed constantly. The sound reminded him of old power lines. Back on Earth, he sat on the simple bench they had provided and waited. He knew they would bring him back. Species like these always wanted to gloat. He was right. 6 hours later, the guards came for him again. This time, they brought him to a smaller chamber. Only a dozen council members were present, including the overseer. They wanted a more intimate setting for what came next. They wanted him to see their confidence up close. Admiral Webb, the overseer began, settling its massive form onto a floating platform. We have reviewed your species' military capabilities in greater detail. Perhaps a more thorough understanding will help you see reason. Webb said nothing. He simply stood and listened. A Vryn commander stepped forward. Its crystalline spines glowed with inner light as it spoke. The Vryn fleet consists of 10,347 warships. Our smallest vessels are twice the size of your largest. Our weapons can punch through your hull armor like it does not exist. We have shields that would absorb your entire arsenal without failing. In simulations, a single Vryn battle group could destroy your entire fleet in less than one standard hour. The commander paused, clearly expecting a reaction. Webb gave none. A Zeltharai representative drifted forward. Its mechanical body gleamed under the chamber's lights. The Zeltharai possess dreadnoughts capable of cracking continental plates. We have used them 3 times in our history to end species that threatened galactic peace. The process takes approximately 6 hours per planet. Your Earth would be rendered uninhabitable in less than a day. Still, Webb remained silent. His old face showed nothing. A Kron delegate, its silicon body reflecting light like a living diamond, spoke in grinding tones. The Kron have developed molecular destabilization weapons. They cause matter itself to lose cohesion. We used them to end the Halath expansion 2,000 years ago. An entire civilization of 12 billion beings spread across 40 worlds ceased to exist in a span of 3 weeks. We still have these weapons. We maintain them precisely for situations like this. The testimonies continued. Each species detailed their military might, their victories, their technologies that seemed like magic compared to human capabilities. They spoke of wars lasting centuries, of weapons that could sterilize solar systems, of defense systems that could detect threats across light years. Through it all, Webb stood quietly, his hands clasped behind his back in an old military posture. His face remained calm, almost meditative. This seemed to frustrate them. Do you understand what we are telling you? The overseer finally asked. Do you comprehend the scale of power you face? I understand, Webb said softly. Then why do you not show fear? Why do you not beg for your world? A Serpentine council member asked, its hood flaring in agitation. Webb looked up at the assembled beings. May I tell you about human history? The overseer gestured permission. If you believe it relevant. We've been fighting wars for at least 10,000 years, Webb began. His voice was quiet, but clear. Probably longer, but that's as far back as our records go with certainty. We've never stopped. Not for a single generation. Somewhere on Earth, someone was always fighting someone else. We know this, the Vryn commander interrupted. Primitive tribal conflicts. Disputes over resources and territory. Yes, Webb agreed. But let me tell you about the scale. In our first truly global war, we killed 17 million people in 4 years. We poisoned entire regions with chemical weapons that made the soil deadly for decades. We learned to kill efficiently. The council member shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Then we did it again, Webb continued. A second global war. This time we killed between 70 and 85 million people in 6 years. We developed weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We called them atomic bombs. We used them twice on cities full of civilians. Barbaric, someone muttered. Yes, Webb said simply. It was, but that's not the important part. The important part is what came after. We developed bigger bombs, hydrogen bombs, bombs that made the first ones look like toys. We built thousands of them. We pointed them at each other and said, if you attack us, we will destroy your entire civilization. And the other side said the same thing back. Mutually assured destruction, the overseer said. We are familiar with the concept. It is a deterrent. Webb shook his head slowly. You think of it as a deterrent? We thought of it as a promise. For 50 years. My grandparents' generation lived knowing that any day everything could end. Cities could become shadows on glass. Millions could die in minutes. And you know what? They were willing to do it. Both sides were willing to push the button if it came to it. But they did not, the Zeltharai said. Reason prevailed. Luck prevailed, Webb corrected. There were at least 6 times when we came within minutes of total nuclear war. Each time it was stopped by a single person making a choice. But the willingness was there. The weapons were there. We were ready to end our world, rather than surrender to the other side. The chamber was quiet now. The mocking laughter had stopped. Webb continued, his voice growing harder. And those weapons? They still exist. We haven't used them in over 2 centuries. But we haven't forgotten how to make them. We've gotten better at it, actually. Our modern weapons are far more efficient. But that's not all we learned. He began pacing slowly, his old body moving with the careful precision of a career soldier. We learned to weaponize disease. We created viruses and bacteria designed to kill. We learned to poison water, to salt earth so nothing would grow, to burn entire forests to deny them to our enemies. We developed gas that would eat through any protection and dissolve human lungs. We built machines that could kill millions, and operated them like factories with schedules and quotas. Enough, the overseer said, its voice sharp. We do not need a recitation of human atrocities. Webb stopped and looked directly at the ancient being. You asked why I don't show fear. This is why. Every species here has told me about their weapons, their victories, their power. But I haven't heard anything humans haven't already done to each other. You threaten to destroy our colonies? We've destroyed our own cities. You threaten to make our worlds uninhabitable? We've poisoned our own planet and had to spend centuries cleaning it up. You talk about ending our civilization? We almost did that ourselves. Multiple times. You claim this makes you strong. The Kron delegate asked. It sounds like madness. Maybe it is, Webb admitted. But it's also experience. Every species here has fought wars for territory, for resources, for political power. You have rules, honor codes, lines you won't cross because war is a tool for you, a means to an end. He paused, letting the silence stretch. For humans, war isn't a tool. When we truly go to war, when our survival is at stake, there are no rules. There are no lines we won't cross. There's only survival or extinction. And we will do anything, burn anything, sacrifice anything to survive. Brave words from a prisoner. The Vryn commander said, but its voice lacked the earlier confidence. Webb smiled again, that cold smile that didn't reach his eyes. You think I'm afraid of dying? I'm 73 years old. I've lived a full life. I've seen my children grow up. I've held my grandchildren. If I die here, I die satisfied. But my grandchildren are on Mars. My great-nieces and nephews are on New Hebrides colony. You threaten them. You threaten all of humanity's children. He leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that a human won't do to protect their children. We have a saying, mess with Mama Bear's cubs and see what happens. You've just poked Mama Bear, all 7 billion of her. The overseer's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. You continue to make threats you cannot back up. Your fleet is insignificant. Your technology is centuries behind ours. What can you possibly do? Webb straightened. I told you. We'll give you war. The kind of war humans know how to fight. The kind where the only goal is to hurt you so badly that you lose the will to continue. Not to beat you. Not to conquer you. Just to make victory cost more than you're willing to pay. You're insane. The Serpentine Council member hissed. Maybe, Webb said. But we are also very, very good at it. We've had 10,000 years of practice. And unlike you, we are not fighting for territory or resources. We are fighting for survival. That's a different kind of war entirely. The overseer rose from its platform. This conversation is pointless. You have one rotation, Admiral Webb. Evacuate or be removed. This is not negotiable. As the guards moved to take him away, Webb called out one more time. Overseer, I have one question. The Ancient being paused. What? Do you know why my government really sent me? Why an old man instead of a young, strong soldier? Enlighten us. Webb's expression became something ancient and terrible. Because I volunteered to die. Because I'm old enough to remember real war, and young soldiers still have hope. Hope that peace is possible.